Welcome to you all. We started already a passionate exchange before you came. As soon as we get into the boiler room, there's no stopping it. We have to throw in some marketing conversation. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you for gathering. It's always a pleasure to be in this space with you. We'll go right into the topic of the conversation. Well, in good standing, what we will do is open the floor for any potential conversation or points that are personal to what you have been doing or difficulties that you have encountered using the tool before this session, or otherwise any marketing questions that you would want to open up with. If not, I'll go over or continue on the conversation that we started yesterday. I think it's a good thing for us to anchor, because it will help us take advantage of the tool a lot easier, or start with a strong sense of what we are supposed to be doing. And often enough, that's the confusion that lies within the email strategy or the CRM usage and approach. Okay, so any questions? If not, as
Martha
usual,
says she has a question.
go ahead.
Yes, I do have a question because on my digital card
Yeah.
with the Adillo and moving the video over using the code snippet, I did a publish, but the video, whenever I do the publish, the video does not show up on my card.
Oh, okay. You want to take this one since it's a
Sure.
Dillo?
You can you share your screen with us, Martha?
Mm-hmm.
I prefer doing it that way. This way you know what to do. Instead of being like, yeah, you just go here, click there, do that.
Let me
Show
hold
me
on
your
a second.
page.
Let me hide that toolbar.
Yeah, no worries. But show me your page that you're working with so we can see what you're talking about as well.
I'm hiding the toolbar. Hold on.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so this is the code right here, and I did the responsive. I copied this.
Cool.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So, and then when I go over to Now site,
Mhm.
you can see the videos there.
Okay.
So when I click on it,
There's your
there's
code.
there's my code.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then when I do a publish, well, I have too much stuff going on here. Hold on a second. Let me stop this scam likely. It's cousin scam, and he's likely to call again. Okay, so I do a publish. And then I do a preview. It's not there.
Okay, go into Adillo real quick. Did you change any other settings? Like when you were changing, hey, who's that guy? Ah.
Right? I keep you up there. Yeah.
Did you change any settings? Like when you went in to change the color of the player or anything like that?
No.
Let's go into those settings real quick and look for
Okay, you
Adillo.
said on a Dillo. Hold on a second. Let me.
I don't think you have enough tabs open there, girl.
I know I work a
I
lot.
was about to say, that's a lot.
Close that little tab out real quick.
This one?
Yeah. And then click on Customize on the left-hand side. Let's go to Privacy. Um, Click on let's see, click on the privacy options so that I can see what you have as options real quick.
Oh, wait. Where's the options?
Yeah, I just want to make sure you didn't change anything accidentally.
I don't see any options. Where do you see that?
Well, right there on the drop down, it doesn't give you any options.
Mm-mm.
Nothing there. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Go to appearance then. Nothing changed there. Go to thumbnail. Okay, you got an image for the thumbnail. Go to controls. Inherit project. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Why don't we do this? Maybe we can meet after this and get a little more in depth because this looks like it might take a little bit of time.
That
Uh,
sounds good.
it could be crazy enough on, I hate to say it, on Nowsight's side, but everything looks in order. Can you share
Mm.
the link down in the chat as well?
This link here.
Yeah. Yeah, your page link says you have the
Are
video that's not working for you on your side.
Can
are
you
you talking about
also,
the Adillo link, or are you talking about my
Your
Now
page
site link?
link, your now site page link.
Okay. Yeah, I
I
can
just
do
want to
that.
see that it doesn't work on my end as well. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna ask also while we're at it, Martha, if you can send me the iframe code. I'll try to see it if I embed it on one of my site if it works right there. So we'll test it across platform at the same time.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll put this in and
Mhm.
then I'll come back into Adillo and grab that one and put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'm
Perfect.
sure we can figure it out though, but something's not clicking, obviously.
Okay.
One of the things that came to mind when this is happening was happening at the beginning. I was going to ask, because often enough, when you're embedding, it could have to do with cookies. So when the first time the site will pop up, it will ask you to accept the cookies. Sometimes if you refuse it, it can block some of the embedded codes. So I'm not sure about Adillo, but sometimes it's part of those cookies that are something that you have to accept so that you can actually see the embedded
Wow.
uh yeah.
Hey, that was interesting. So that link that you shared brought me right into the edit page here. How
You like
interesting.
that, didn't you?
But it says,
Do you want the edit page or you want a different link?
no, I wanted the actual page so I could see if the video was working on my end, but it says no permissions to edit this landing page. This is kind of neat. I hadn't seen
Yeah,
that.
I know.
But even if I go and I look at that page, it doesn't look right on the page, and I don't know if that's because of the image, you know what I mean? Like the what do you call that? The screenshot?
The thumbnail thing?
Yeah. Let me try something real quick. Um, but yeah, if you want to carry on what you were doing, Virgil,
Okay.
we can try to figure this out in the background or whatnot.
Okay.
In fact, I have your video here, so one second, maybe let me try something here. Oh, I can't edit it. That's right. It won't let me edit it.
We can do this after so we don't, in case other people have questions, and
Yeah,
so we can learn what you guys have in store for us today. It's always awesome.
As a medical provider,
Mhm.
sounds good.
you see firsthand just how much
It comes to mind, this brings me to mind that you did promise us an Adila session, or I did make you volunteer. I did. So maybe next week we'll do that. We'll
Sure,
talk about it, that's for sure.
sure.
Okay. So I shared my screen. I'm gonna recap a little bit of what we did yesterday, and as offered, I was just gonna uh, align that with a few slides so that we can have that on the wall as a roadmap to keep us well aligned with what we're trying to do when we're thinking about email campaigns, email sequence, or approaching our CRM use, right? And this is strictly around uh, the idea of the list, the acquisition list, the conversion list, and the retention list, which are part of the three stages that a prospect's journey will encompass. Uh, uh,
as a
the
medical
first point of contact where we exchange information without necessarily um, creating the sale, since, as we understand, the sales flow process. We want to build a relationship that leads to that natural opting in, that natural transactional opportunity. So we always have these steps through the journey with the customer, from acquisition to conversion and from conversion to retention. Retention being the most important part of our activity, since we thrive not on what we acquire on a daily basis or what we convert, but more on how much of that we retain over time, allowing us to scale our operations. For the exercise, what I did is I also made use of the fact that throughout our strategy, we will have the opportunity to use different marketing assets, right? And understanding what the intent is behind that marketing asset, the priority intent, is important, since you're lining it up with an email campaign, with an email approach to get the client from that acquisition point or conversion point to the rest of the ongoing relationship, right? The major difference between the different assets that we offer here was just in the approach that it offers to the audience that gets to discover it. Whether it's a website, a sales funnel, a landing page, they have common goals: capturing information or offering a call to action. The call to action determines exactly what the next step is. If it's a soft qualification steps where we gather information and prep up for a discovery meeting, it would be a different interaction, a different email interaction or client interaction that would follow if we sent them to a point of sale. For this case, I had used the sales funnel as the example of a point of sale because the intent of a sales funnel is very direct, in a sense that we're putting you at a gate and it's a 50-50 option. Either you opt in or you don't. The last asset that I used was the landing page, which is a shorter space than a website, made to inform on a specific topic and open up the rest of the conversation. I used those three in the example to line them up with the intent behind the list that would be generated. One of the things that is interesting or part of the automation with NowSite is that when you generate an asset, it generates a list. To that list, you will come and match some campaign intent. So to make this more visual, I created this slide. Hopefully it's not too complicated, but we will go over it so that we can make sense of it together. Last time when I had something up on the screen, we were discussing the use of this tree logic approach to determine how we're structuring our qualification steps. I use the same approach for this one to kind of frame the work around in the space in a way that we can always follow and sort out exactly what we're supposed to be doing, what type of interaction we're supposed to be having when we're working that segment or that list, right? Notice if we're following our 5-step rhythm into doing any marketing exercise that I've put forward, when we're looking at this conversation, we're in the understanding the process. We, at this point, should have defined objective from the UVP, the brand, position of our values, which opens up the possibility of being able to create content on NowSite, right? Through the first stage of that, we have collected relevant data. We have started aligning our presentation, our branding process with our objective, with our intent. And now we're looking at setting up the logistics behind the process. Right? So it's important to understand that at least at this point, you have defined your assets. What are we doing? What are we using? For example, for conversion. A lot of us in the network marketer are often enough a little bit of, well, we're brought into the business with the conversion conversation in the forefront, right? What the same way we have been introduced to the activity is the way we are recommended to proceed and introduce others to the activity. So when we come into the conversation, we are already at the conversion front. And from our own experience, we know that the best relationship that you had with your upline was assisted every step of the way, right? Often enough, this is also where we are failed, when the mentorship doesn't follow you through the process, making you properly understand that, yes, you have a you have a turnkey business in hand that you can start operating right away. However, you have to gain an understanding of the conversation, of the process. And also, you have to build your brand through your retention approach. Well, make it visually apparent when you will be relying mostly on your automation, or whereas when you will be expected to have a hands-on approach, at least for some time, right? Again, this follows values that we have gone over in the way our business operation is supposed to be set up when we begin the branding that leads to the process itself around everything that we will need to have and put forward to consolidate our services. After that, well, these services themselves have to be set up before we can engage in a point of sale. And this is when all the client support and client relationship comes in. At this point in our process, what we're looking at are these two phases: setting up the service and the point of sale, especially if our conversation or our service is something that can be implemented quickly, something that has a coaching infrastructure, right? The importance is understanding the motion that you will be following and when you will be able to leave the client to the rest of the devices, the automation, while you focus on the new people coming in to the pipeline, right? This is also why it's important to understand these or to start with these fundamentals in a way that you want to approach the handling of your clientele. We want volume, but we can only do so much. Eventually, we will be able to duplicate and acquire more speed, right? But to be able to duplicate, once again, we have to have understood this process and set it up in place. Okay? We've discussed a little bit, we'll start with the first leg. We discussed a little bit of the email strategies or approach. We discussed a lot actually about email strategy and approach. Generally, one of the things that I think is source of confusion is Well, I'll put it this way. For me, there are five type of campaigns. And when I mean campaigns, they are these sequence of emails that you will be trying to build beforehand as much as possible, right? There's the welcome type email campaigns, emails that have the nature of introducing you to things. You have the onboarding email campaigns. These usually are more focused on something that you have already acquired or something that you're being groomed in to accepting. You have the care and inquiry. These are responsive emails to people's usually after sale or after opting in. You have your community emails, which are usually what you will use to interact with the greater whole of your community for specific actions. And then you have the newsletters, the regular flow of information. In there, you can have many emails. And while for example, while you have your welcome email series running, well, you can have a welcome email copy that you're adjusting based on those results. This is why also at the beginning, I recommend starting with just enough emails so that you can come back regularly and look at the results. When you're involved in an email campaign, especially at the acquisition stage, since you're trying to put in volume, this is where the automation comes in. And you also have to understand how you interact with the automation. Again, I always recommend in line with what we are expected to adhere to in the building of a relationship, the sales flow, I usually recommend 5. Why? Because when you're looking at the sales flow objective, the ones here are a little bit, well, I organized it differently for it to make sense there. But when you're connecting, for me, that's not necessarily an action, right? The real email starts when you're trying to build the rapport. And this is important. Yesterday, for me, I put forward that one of the number one buying impulse or one of the things that reassures the buyers are safety and trust. If I trust that this is a safe purchase, if I trust that the company has a reputation that I can adhere to, I am safe, safety and trust. So when you're building the rapport, this is what we're looking for. Same thing when you're looking for an expert. Will you look at their expertise, their credentials for trust and safety in your choice? So the first email is usually the one that will be put out there to build, inform, attract more interest, right? And this is where, for example, you will be falling on marketing assets that are more geared to giving information, targeted information, or a lot of information, right? And these type of emails will line up with these conversations. They tend to be general, but they all have an objective. We already have your information. So whatever we're sending you, it's not to collect information anymore. Whatever we're doing is a slow process to bring you to point 4, where the transaction, where the sales happens. And of course, that forces naturally you into a follow-up. Why? This is where we do the aftercare service. So far, so good, straightforward. Any questions? Usually this is where you're safe at making mistakes. If at the beginning, yeah, because
I was
this
gonna
is
say there's no questions, but I do see you need a T and generate email follow-up.
what I even uh
I just like messing with you with your typos, man. We got spell check these days.
you
Like
should
I
I
should say
should
anything when I'm all dyslexic. But yeah, it's quiet here. There's actually there was 7 in that drop down box as far as different stages, if you will. Yeah, I had to be a spelling Nazi, right, Rita? Um, but there was 8 at one point in time when we would get those connections when we first start,
Yeah,
connect.
there's more than this showing here.
Right, right,
Um, but I'll segue to that one. But because the ones after that for me are, you can add that, but the most important ones were the one that I put there, in the sense that here they'll give you more objectives. Definitely the sales flow. You have build a report, present, connect, follow up, book a meeting, close the sale, and create urgency. But in the way it's lined up, for me, the first thing that you're trying to do is connect. And before you make a presentation, you want to build a rapport. So I think it's just in the way they were entered. But the logical flow would be, if I have your information, okay, if it's a cold call, I'm trying to connect. But the connection is also the phase where I'm introducing myself, building the rapport. Once that ice is broken, then I start presenting to make sure that I can follow up with a booking. Well, present, follow up with a booking.
right.
This allows you to, well, start getting into the deeper conversation around the sales or the opportunity. And of course, this could happen very fast in sequence. That's the purpose of the digital card, right? You send that information because it allows you to present in the right way your expertise, already building the rapport, and you're offering the connections. You're offering to book a meeting. And if you're daring, you can even have a button to buy there. However, whenever you're picking an asset, it is good practice to have one priority as a goal. Is it to present the service or to build this relationship? Because based on that, it will dictate the type of conversation you'll follow through with the emails, right? This one here was a sales funnel I added just for the conversation. These call to action, and these are straightforward going to what should be a POS, a point of sale. And this is where usually things get, at least I noticed for me and most of the people that I spoke to, this is where things get a little complicated, the conversion process, right? We often offer tailored service. It means what? We react to the client's time. Although eventually we want them to follow a specific pattern that we can automate at the beginning for us that are startups or intermediary, or even following through a new opportunity. You might know the product, you might have studied the I closed my camera here for some reason, sorry. You might have studied the product, you might have studied the audience, but you haven't necessarily danced the dance with the target audience yet, and you might need to gauge sometimes their reaction time. And this is where it becomes a little hard to automate. You can automate responses when they come in, but you do not know when they'll come in. You're not always sure, although you have a good idea and have set already some Q&As and some expectation, but you're not always sure where these questions will go, right? So this is where, for me, most of this will fall into the use of your CRM. For example, as simple as looking at it, if you come in this space with an opportunity, then they give you a point of sale and they give you a CRM. And most of the time, there is a need beyond that CRM to bring these these converts these new clients into a space where we can more control the future interaction. Hence, now site being created with the team option, multiple website, the opportunity to brand yourself as an ambassador for whatever opportunity you have, right? So just at that level, whatever CRM and automation is offered by your opportunity at the point of sale, there is that handshake moment between CRMs, right? We had touched based on that at one point when we were talking about the workflow. Any questions so far? You notice also that these are screen captures from Now site, and you can see that in this specific space, you also have or will have the tendency to try to build campaigns, although they won't be automated most of the time, at least at first, because if the invoicing, at least in Now site, if the point of sale is outside of Now site, when it happens there, if you have a personalized invoice or personalized follow-up after that invoice that you want to conduct, if your point of sale does not give you that option, then there's that handshake moment where you're taking the client from that list outside of your CRM of choice and putting them into this convert list here. And now using whatever pre-built invoice or pre-built response to the specific question that they would have at the time, right? So a large part of it, at least at the beginning of the relationship, will be hands-on. This is when you're activating your notification to make sure that whenever the client answers or has a question, sends an email, you're there to respond or engage in a core. This is when you're using, for example, our Now site CRM with the ability of sending hot links to make sure that the client, did you receive your invoice, click on this to download or whatnot, moving them along to the next space where you can start automating, right? A lot of this space also has to do with which type of point of sale you're deciding or opting for. Go ahead, Robert.
If you would, we have a couple new members. Hello and welcome, Doug and Janet. Doug is asking where he might find the recording for this once you're all done and set up. I don't think that we shared the links at the very beginning of the show.
Yes, I'll share the links. The only thing is I'm still having an issue with the editing part of it. So the might take a few days before I put the new ones there. I'm still dealing with this computer issue there, but I'll put all the links there for the recordings in the newsletter and the groups as well for the content, the documents that we're discussing here. And thank you for joining us, Doug and Janet as well. If you have any questions, don't feel shy. You can raise your hand at any point in time, whether they're specific to what you are doing on Now side or in marketing in general. If you don't want necessarily to come into onto the stage, you can also ask the question directly to the chat and Robert will assist us with the answers. Good? Any questions so far?
No, not so much a question, but just maybe a question to everybody in the audience that's been here so far. I trust that you understand what he's talking about. In essence, we call bridge pages, right? And you want to do your best to have your own branding in front of whatever it is that you're marketing, especially if it's another affiliate marketing company, whether it's NowSite, Got Backup, or any of those that are out there. Uh, if you guys grasp that, drop us a 5 down in the chat area. Just want to make sure everybody's on the same sheet of music and understands what you're throwing down there.
It's also a way to organize yourself around the email campaign, right? Because once you are organized that way, you understand how you can carry over your brand and your onboarding process specific to your opportunity. Make sense?
Totally. I don't see any fives.
More explanation is needed.
All right, good.
Do you mean everybody or just the new people?
Just everybody. Yeah, that'd be good. As long as we all are on the same sheet of music, we're good.
I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
Again, much of it here has to do with what is your point of sale, what kind of dynamics is happening there with that own CRM, and how these invoices are being issued to the client, and how much of the directive for the follow-up of the relationship you can give from that point. Right? Once that is completed, technically, you will bring the client into the next part, the last leg, the last list, which is your retention list. And you can see here, again, you will have some set campaigns around which you want to build your strategy. And just to make it clear, I'm going to switch to now cited the email campaign step, because often enough we have this question, how can I add to the campaign while it's going on? How do I manage the campaign update once these are running? Well, simply put, when you create a campaign and it's running, as you want to add to it, you have the option of duplicating that list. At that point, you can take a look at that here. At that point, you can look at that as the template for the next series. Hence the safety in the beginning when you're building the first email series, at having something that is deep enough for you to cover some time to let the automation work the list as long as possible, but not too much so that you can revise, update, add to it for the next rollout. Right? Because once you run a campaign to this end, to the end of it, you can stop, you can disconnect the lists that are associated to this. And to start anew, you basically will connect the new desired list, the new updated list. So for example, if this one was the one that I had updated, then I would come back and connect it. Right? So think about that this way, because the email campaign, as much as your websites, are marketing assets. Proof in the saying, often enough, as part of the onboarding package, coaches will give you an email campaign so that you can put it to use right away, keeping you into the momentum of it. But at the same time, you have to come back, understand the process, adapt it to your audience. Because depending on who provided that and who tailored that, it might have been for an audience which is in the interest, but that is a reflection of who they are. If I make a campaign and I'm talking to the ideal clientele that is my reflection, the process, the stage of that campaign won't be necessarily the same if you, Rita, is sending that same email to somebody that has an interest in marketing, but that doesn't align with my persona. Hence the importance of understanding your audience. To a certain level, the pace of your marketing campaign is dictated by the type of audience that you have. If you have a fast-paced entrepreneurial type audience, then yes, you can have an email sent out practically every day. They're in their inbox. Right? If you have somebody that is not necessarily email inclined, well, you want to keep that in mind. It won't be necessarily a primary strategy for them. Go ahead, Robert.
Well, something that popped up into my mind that I've got to say, so bear with me. It's the same thing that goes on your social media as well. You know, I can't stress this enough. If you're out there and you're putting posts up there, but yet you're not getting any responses, well, that's part of your audience, right? That's a problem with your audience. Or now they have this new thing. I'm not going to mention the company to where you'll see a post and say, "Oh, well, I did this thing. This is how I increased my social media engagement." And then they've got a finger down below, and then they'll go and comment 5 different times on their profile, and yet you still get nothing. Some it might work for, but that means simply that they've got the right audience that will actually go through and look at them. But quite honestly, to others that are experienced, it just looks like you're desperate when you're doing those types of things. So you have to think about your audience all the time, especially if you're marketing on Facebook or any other social media. Who's your ideal client, and are you bringing them to you, attracting them to you instead of chasing them down, right? And then once you have the systems in place and you understand all these little nuances that we're explaining, man, this stuff's a breeze, right? Once you get past the working part of getting the system set up, then it's nothing more than conversations and filtering and sorting. That's it. So just wanted to add that. And on that, I yield.
Knowing your audience will determine what type of marketing approach you apply. Whether it's attractive or direct marketing, knowing your audience will define that. I recently had a meeting, and the first way I tried to evaluate a conversation, a marketing conversation, is through the UVP. And whether we understand it or not, we're forced to give that every time. What are you selling? How many times are we receiving this question? That's our UVP there. Oh, I offer these type of service for this specific audience, and this is how they get it, right? Often enough, you fall into a loop of explanation because you're trying to talk to too many people about too many things at the same time. Even if you have a multifaceted offer, well, the reason why it's multifaceted is because each facet speak to a specific type of audience. That's often the case in household products, right? Household service will have a lot of services that you can get independently or as a whole. And not understanding that these are for that specific audience will have you miss a lot. For example, what Robert just put forward was a clear example of people being given information and asked to apply it without necessarily understanding what they are doing, right? But direct marketing can be something that is very powerful when you are playing on the pain points, right? There's a word that was used, desperation. This is one of the stigma also of our industry. People tend to think that actors in these industries prey on desperation, lead people to false claim or false offers. When in fact we have come to understand here that this is one of the most beautiful type of business there can be. You're forced to grow, and you're forced to grow, help people grow. What better job is there? make you better and help people get better, whatever they choose to do. Because what we apply as fundamentals are applicable to any type of industries, right? Whether you're selling wellness, whether you're selling financial product, whether you're selling coaching, especially when you're doing coaching, even more so becomes important that part where you are hands-on in the conversation, in the conversion, in the step-by-step process until the client is strong enough in its approach to leave the nest, or that you've got them in the system where you can now, they have to rely on their strength and you are complementary to it, allowing you to free time for others. Right? So it's very important to understand that most of us are in this space dealing with that confusion. This is where all the CRM questions comes in, and when do I automate or when do I not automate? Here, you're using the AI to assist you. At least this is where we want to start until we reach that gap or bridge that gap where we have 100 clients coming in on a regular basis and we have to automate. By then, we have picked up on the patterns. And there are always going to be some special cases. This is where, again, being expert at our business comes in. And that is something that comes with time. Yep. So very simply put, in this space, the first and important thing is your UVP. Why? Because as simple as it is, it technically gives you an insight on everything else, right? The what, who, how, interest, intention, call to action. Well, it's acquisition, conversion, retention. How is it that you receive the service? That question has a lot of impact around this. What is the dynamic that I'm expecting at the point of sale or after when I have purchased, and what is the support that I receive? How have you aligned that conversation is the prospect journey that we keep referring to. Well, when you purchase in, you'll receive this email. This email will invite you to talk to me at this point. Yes, I can automate the notification to a certain point, but at one point I'm going to have to follow in because I need to clear this client from the pipeline so I can onboard somebody, right? There are times that you have to take action. You're assisted with the CRM tools, with the follow-up, right, that you can program and such. This is where you start understanding your reaction time of your audience. And again, some of them can be very fast and that allows you to automate things or get them quickly done. Others will require a little bit more time, especially when you're dealing with household products, right? The household has to be accounted in any decision that are made. Very important. Questions so far? Make sure at least, since by default, most of us in this space are given point of sale with our affiliate link, make sure to understand what is happening there. So at least you know when you're making the handshake from their CRM, from that list into whatever marketing tool you're using, in this case, NowSite. So that way, the email is a continuation of what has already happened after that transaction. That falls into any client care, any Q&As, any personal onboarding and newsletter type campaigns that you want to build. Usually at that point, again, people can receive 1 or 2 emails by mistake. Since they're already in the fold, they'll forgive you for potential mistakes of that nature. So automation is something that you want to look at. Same thing, go ahead.
I have an interesting question for everybody. Maybe they can round out the hour with this.
Mhm.
Does everyone in here, based off of, pay close attention to what I'm asking here. Does everyone in here, based off of the products that you have, even if it's multiple products, does everyone in here know how much they even get paid for every sign up? I'd love to hear the answer to that in the comments, or unmute yourself, say yes if you do.
I know for one of my products.
Oh, thank God I heard somebody. Woo!
Okay, we're gonna have to talk about that.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that's so important.
Mm,
Hey,
mm, mm. It just kind of came to my mind. I figured I would just throw that out there and just see. Um, so Drea says she doesn't have a product yet. Cool. Let's get you on. Let's get you on. And Dinah says she does for most. Catherine says yes. Hey, Catherine. Okay, good. Okay, yay!
important
Thank
because
God.
it's
For those of you
important.
that don't, we need to figure that out. Because if you don't even know what you're making per, then like I don't know how I would be motivated if I was just trudging through and wasn't certain of how much I made, right? Good. Now people are chiming in. Good, good, good.
That's
Okay.
definitely a big thing coming in because, I mean, if you have accepted an opportunity, you have asked, how is it that you're profiting from it? And when you're going to grow and build a business around it, that is also going to be the central point of the conversation with people that you want to bring into the business side of any opportunity.
Well, I say
That's
that
actually,
too. I say that too because that's where I learned and understood what my worth was, right? Um, as an example, especially for those of you that might be new, for me in the direct marketing industry, we were only getting paid $10 for every person that we registered. So our goal every day, I was just texting with a buddy of mine that's doing some door to door to keep him motivated. Our goal every day was to get 10 sales. That meant if I only closed 50% of those people, I had to talk to those 20 people. 10 of them would tell me no. Once you go and you understand and you identify who your target market is, even they're going to be slightly different for each thing that you're selling, right? But once you understand that and you know what you're making, now you can make some goals for those specific businesses that you want to grow. Oftentimes, and I'm saying this only because I hear oftentimes people tell me, well, it's difficult to grow multiple businesses. And sure, it can be. But if you know what your numbers are and where to focus and what times you're focusing to include that into part of your whole daily method of operation, then you can grow multiple businesses at the same time. But if you can't grow one business, don't expect that you're going to be able to grow multiples, you know? So it does take some finesse to be able to get to that point. But keep coming, keep showing up, keep learning, keep asking the questions, and we will keep on showing up ourselves and doing what we can to help you get there. I yield.
one thing also to keep in mind to come back on that is that um, when we talk about a retention process, that's technically some of that information that is being offered there. When we talk about an onboarding process, if I onboard you as a client, then this is where you buy the product. This is how you return it if you don't like it. This is how you get customer service for it. But if I come to you letting you know that this is an opportunity that you can build uh, income on, then the first question or in the selling question, are going to be around how you get paid. This is also where the whole onboarding and regular information to the newsletter will come in, keeping those who have newly been onboarded of how financially this works or where to come and get that information. It's part of these um, um, selling points when you are trying to cross somebody from one opportunity to the other. When I was meeting with my clients, I now understand a little bit more. I should have asked that question more often because a lot of the affiliates that I was coming in contact with in these meetings had a sheer fear of talking to other affiliates in the industry, meaning that if you're in wellness and I'm in wellness, I don't want to talk to you. And I used to say, well, one second, the whole work has been done for you because the conversation in a space like that is, well, how much do you get on a dollar? Because if you're in wellness and I'm in wellness, we love the same thing. And if you're making 50 cents or 50% on the dollar where I'm making 80%, well, who's going to cross over? You're doing the same thing, but earning a little bit more now. Hell, you don't even need to stop what you're doing. You can just add this one and create multiple values, income stream, as Robert just put forward, right? This is how you actually get to pursue multiple opportunities and not get technically drowned by the work. If I'm talking to people that are in the same interest, which is wellness, and offering different products that work in the achievement of the wellness, I can better balance these products. Brings me back to that conversation around these multi-layered services that you have. For example, one that comes to mind is a Legal Shield, right? A Legal Shield has a lot of services, right? And often enough, if you look at the scope of these services, they tend to target the same audience, a household-based audience, since a lot of the services are insurance, house, insurance, protection, insurance type-based service. And this is where the greatest audience is. The pain point being you have something to lose that you need to protect, right? Often enough in conversation around income or financial products, well, the pain point is a threshold, the financial threshold. And at that point, you have these products that also have an array of opportunity where you can save by doing this, that, or that, depending on what you want in this ecosystem. You can create your own saving wallet by buying this here, by opting for this service, by doing this. All that will allow you to make more for your buying power, income thresholds, right? With that, you now know how to structure the conversation at acquisition. That becomes important because the general email around building trust and safety will have that audience in mind. We'll have that step-by-step approach. We'll have that conversation aim at making sure that they understand that we have not only their interest, but that of their household in mind when we offer our services. The conversation will shift slightly. So will the approach. If that conversation is going to not a consumer, but somebody that is going to be building a business, then the income part becomes essential. Knowing how, what is the value behind that offer, and how to repeat it to benefit from it. Make sense for everybody? Hope it does. It's something to keep in mind. The documents, I've made them available in the team content. I'm putting everything in the master class documents so that you'll be able to find it easier. And it's going to be the recent documents here. Take a look at them. As a matter of fact, take a look at the ones that came before because it's going to be at the center of the next masterclass where we're really going to start executing this. And of course, at that point, we're way past the branding conversation that came before. And I strongly, strongly recommend that if you haven't, that you go over this and make this best practice for any opportunity.
And beyond that, we'll see you all Monday
Monday, the
and
last
next Tuesday and Wednesday for another episode of How To Tuesdays and Wednesdays with Virgil, Obey, and the Blakester. Enjoy
and
your weekend, everyone.
a dealer session next Wednesday session. Brief introduction or refresher.
For sure, for sure. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye for
Thank
now.
you. Bye-bye.
Next week. Have a great one.